Brown v. Board of Education. May 17, 1954, Justice Earl Warren told the public of the unanimous decision that state-sanctioned segregation of public schools violated the 14th Amendment. Looking to the background of the case, the 13th Amendment outlawed slavery in 1865, with the 14th Amendment giving citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. The first Civil Rights Act was passed in 1875 and would impose fines on anyone found to be denying patronage of public places, like theaters and inns, because of a person's race. The Supreme Court at the time, in one case, managed to both reduce the scope of racial legislation produced by the national government and halt the civil rights movement at that time. After this ruling in the late 1800s, segregation was rampant in the South. Plessy v. Ferguson in 1896 solidified segregation as it allowed separate but equal to be provided in public places, and this was considered constitutional. This case was as bad as the Dred Scott case was in 1857. This all culminates within the Supreme Court case Brown v. Board of Education. What spurred this case was 5 separate elementary school court cases that complained about black children being denied access to all white public schools. While each having unique elements, every district court upheld that Plessy v. Ferguson would be held as a precedent and allow the segregation to continue, even though some of these justices at the district court level discussed the harm done to black children based off of the fact that they can gain inferiority complexes and other such problems about their white counterparts. Once the cases were taken to the Supreme Court, they needed to argue the 14th Amendment that the separate but equal rulings were not okay. Thurgood Marshall took to arguing with the Warren Court, saying that separate but equal rulings prohibited states from acting on issues for purely racial purposes. The eventual ruling from this case, after 3 attempts, was to fully desegregate schools and set a framework for the Civil Rights Act of the 1960s.